Anyone receiving benefits or accessing council welfare services is probably having their personal information analysed by secretive software developed by private companies and sold to local authorities and central government who often do not understand how the software works.
Eeny, meeny, miny, moe.
They rely on data protection rules that are out of date and not fit for purpose to justify processing huge quantities of your personal data to influence decisions about you without your knowledge or your consent. Private companies hide the inner workings of their software behind claims of commercial confidentiality, which means the general public, like you or I, don't know how our information is being processed. These secretive data processes are called black box algorithms. Big Brother Watch is working to crack open the black box and reveal how a few lines of computer code define the modern British welfare state. Applying for benefits in large parts of the UK now means you'll be subjected to extensive digital surveillance before your claim is even processed. Dozens of councils use risk-based verification software that takes your personal information and uses automatic profiling to generate an individual risk score. This score is used to decide how much evidence you have to give to get the benefits you're entitled to. If you are lucky and you get a low score, you'll have to send a few photocopied documents into the council. But if you are unlucky and get a high risk score, you may be subjected to home visits, phone calls from the council, or even have to undergo an invasive credit check, despite you having done nothing wrong. You should not be subjected to extreme digital surveillance just to get the benefits you are entitled to. And Big Brother Watch is fighting to expose the automated monitoring of welfare recipients. Increasing numbers of local authorities are using predictive analytics software that analyses massive data sets and predicts who is at risk from certain harms, whether that is the economic risks of the coronavirus pandemic, homelessness, or even child abuse. Ever-growing amounts of data are hoovered up and run through predictive analytics systems that are shaping decisions at stretched local authorities. But the evidence on these predictive systems is patchy. There is little independent research to show that they work. A study into datasets around children's social care found these predictive systems could miss some children who were at risk and were not identified by the algorithm. And some children who were not at risk could even be identified as at risk of harm by the system, meaning families could receive unnecessary visits from social services. Different local authorities use predictive systems for different reasons. Newcastle upon Tyne uses an algorithm that may predict the risk of someone becoming homeless, whereas Bristol's predictive systems focus on child abuse. Despite this, they all function in much the same way. They look through huge amounts of data to spot historical patterns and identify who is likely to be at risk of harm today.
Computer says no.
Now, computers do not have the emotional intelligence of human beings. They are not aware of the real-life situations people find themselves in. And these bits of information are vital when you make decisions about some of the most vulnerable people in society. Now, most people who have their data processed by these systems only find out if they happen to be flagged. The sheer quantity of data processed about unaware people without their consent cannot be justified. Almost half of people in Britain who live in council or housing association homes have their personal data analysed by opaque tools every time they pay their rent. Many social landlords rely on predictive software to see who is more or less likely to make payments that month, and this influences who housing officers contact. And we know that some social landlords even rely on the small print in their tenancy agreements and their privacy policies to justify their data processing, but they do not reveal exactly what information is used and how it is analysed. And tenants on universal credit are subjected to even more scrutiny by some of these pieces of software marketed at landlords. Without a more open conversation about our use of data and transparency about the accuracy and potential bias of these increasingly popular predictive systems, we are sliding towards a digital welfare state that will entrench inequality. Now, if you think your data has been processed by these systems and you want to use your data rights to help Big Brother Watch crack open the black box and work out what's going on with these algorithms, here's how you can find out how your information has been processed. First, go to welfaredatawatch.co.uk. We have made templates for each council in the UK. Hit Get Your Data and you'll be taken to a Subject Access Request tool. We want to empower members of the public to use their data rights to demand to know how their information has been collected and processed by local councils. And we hope that in return for you sharing your responses with us, Big Brother Watch can help you understand how your data is being used. The first step is to find your council. If you know who it is, great. But if you're not sure, click this link and enter your postcode to find out. In this guide we use the generic postcode from South London. Once you know who your council is, enter the name of the council into the search bar and click it. Then below, a template subject access request will appear, based on our previous work into what tools individual councils are using. Copy the template into an email and add your name and any other bits of information that may identify you. Your council might come back later and ask for ID to prove that it is you, but this is totally normal, and make sure they don't share your information with anybody else. Then, search the web for subject access request and your council's name. You should then get results that guide you to the right contact details for your council. This is usually an email address, but some councils have online forms too. Copy this email address into your email and add it as a subject line that you remember and hit send. And then why not send us an email to info@bigbrotherwatch.org.uk to let us know if you want to share your response.